Welcome to GHC Coffee Break. Join me today with Libby Gore and Lynn Hilburn. We'll be right back with GHC Coffee Break.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals,
with opportunities outside the classroom,
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome to GHC Coffee Break. I'm so excited you're here today. Joining me is Libby Gore, and she's been a guest previously. And I have a co-host today, Lynn Hilburn, who is actually a human service student at Georgia Highlands College. And I've asked her to join me as a co-host for a few segments. So we're happy to have you here, Lynn.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Libby, you know we're always happy to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here today, again.
Well, one of the things, you know, that I thought would be really important to talk about is stress. We're getting to the season. School's been started a few weeks. Holidays will be coming up. Midterms will be coming up. You know, it's just a whole plethora of things. Not even talking about the people who are not students, the things that they have going on in their life. So I felt stress would be a really important topic to really get people prepared. Like I said, especially with, you know, Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's
holidays.
I mean, they're already putting stuff up in Walmart.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we talk about this.
It's interesting that you bring up holidays because where some people think about the holidays and they get excited and, you know, you think about family and things like that. On the other hand, holidays can be an extremely stressful time for anybody, even if you're one that enjoys the holidays. But then you also have a segment of the population where holidays can be a very depressing and stressful time for them. You know, just depending on what's gone on in their own lives during those times. So, you know, even without any extra going on, we all experience stress just in our daily lives. And I guess I'd want to start out by just kind of defining stress, because
that'd be great.
Stress is not actually always a terrible thing. Basically, stress is defined as a reaction to change, and that change is termed as a stressor. So, you know, time might be a stressor for you. However, some people find that they produce better work when there's a stress of a deadline or a time for them coming up. Stress is what can push us to move forward with things. However, the way you deal with those stressors is what has given that word stress its negative connotation. So when we say stress as human beings, usually we're talking about something that just makes us want to scream and pull our hair out.
Exactly.
And so I would assume our focus today would be on managing those types of things. So
and I found, at least personally, I carry stress. I know it's cortisol, I believe it is.
Cortisol.
In here, I gain weight a lot right here when I'm stressed, and right here in my shoulders.
Yeah.
That's where my stress tends to be. Where's yours, Lynn?
Probably in my neck and my shoulders.
And as a yoga instructor, I work with a lot of people that show those same physical characteristics through the neck and the shoulders. Hips are another area that will grab onto the stress and hold it, and you can have hip issues, things like that. But that type of physical display of stress comes from a tightening and a tensing in a situation, which can be a reaction to those stressors coming in. I think when I'm working with a client that comes, I've got all this tightness and pain through here, one of the first things we do is try to identify what it is that stresses them. And I try to have them become more aware of when those times are occurring in their life and what their immediate reactions to the situation are. They're probably not going to notice that they're tensing through their upper body when that happens, but one thing that we teach in yoga is awareness of the breath. And when stress is induced and your body starts reacting to it, one of the first things that can happen is you change from a natural full breath to what we call fight or flight. I can't say it this morning, fight or flight breath, which is a very upper chest, which is overtaxing the muscles of exhalation. It can cause strain and stress throughout the shoulders and the neck. So one technique of managing stress is simply becoming aware and taking control of how you're breathing. Sounds very simple, but oftentimes not, because it's a part of us. It's always there, and so
We don't think about it.
we don't. And so that's one technique that you can use to manage the stress that comes into your life, is simply begin paying attention to the breath. If you feel that the breath is up in that fight or flight zone, try to begin bringing it down into the belly and calming it down and trying to equalize the inhale and the exhale, or balance rather. And simply paying attention to the breath can bring you from a 10, back down to a normal 3 or 4, or whatever you consider normal, almost instantaneously. And there are many different types of breaths also that can be trained in yoga, that the science of controlling the breath is called pranayama. And like I said, there are many different techniques, but one very easy technique that I teach my students is to do what we call an ujjayi breath, which is an audible breath. You can hear it inside, and it's done by constricting the back of your throat slightly, also known as the ocean breath, because it almost sounds like the waves of the ocean coming in and out. And it can be described as making the ha, H-A, sound when you inhale and exhale, but with the mouth closed. So I can demonstrate it real quick if you like. I don't know if the microphone will pick it up or not, but I'll try. So not only is it known for almost instantaneously calming the nervous system, but it's also good for toning the respiratory system, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me, because have you heard of Andrew Weil? I think I'm saying his last name right.
Yes.
He has a really good tape, DVD. I got it at one of the bookstores, either Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, who knows. But and I'm sure you can get it on Amazon, wherever, But it's about breathing and about the breath, and it's really good. My problem, and I think this is probably most people, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking for most people and it's not true, but my hypothesis is most people don't. We find excuses or reasons. We give them, say it's reasons, but it's an excuse not to practice it. I don't have time to do that, just sit and listen to him tell me what to do, and to sit there for 10 minutes or whatever it happens to be. So I think that that's one of the other aspects. Like you said, time can be a stressor, is not allowing ourselves, and I don't always practice what I preach, you can ask Lynn. I tell them about self-care in human services. But it's everywhere. And one of my favorite analogies actually deals with breathing. Is you're on an airplane, and they tell you if we lose oxygen in the airplane, the mask will fall. Put it on yourself before you turn around and put it on someone else. And to me, that is a very good analogy about life. I'll even take the we out. I do not take care of myself because I'm too busy taking care of others. Self-care is critical.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Self-care, obviously, before you are even able to be able to give to others and help with others. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're either going to end up sick, which stress has been related to many different illnesses within the body, and then you're down, which is your body's way of saying, step back and take care of yourself, or the help that you're going to lend others is not going to be as effective, because you're putting out resonance and vibration at all times. And so if you're moving into help someone with their stressful situation and you've got all that going on within yourself, it is going to be transmitted to that other person. So I would dare say you're doing more harm than good if you're not taking care of yourself before you move to working with others.
I agree, because if you're wearing yourself out trying to help everybody else out, eventually, again, they're going to see that, and so you're really not helping them. You're making it worse for them, and then in the end, you're so wore out you can't help yourself or anybody else out.
Yeah, you're right about that. Going back to the topic of time, as a professor and a mathematics professor especially,
I know, you freak me out.
I deal with a lot of stressed out students with deadlines and all that stuff. Another technique of managing the stress of time that we feel is organization. Organization can relieve so much stress. When you have what you feel like is 80 million things to do in this amount of time, you get to the point where you're almost paralyzed because you don't even know where to begin and how to begin it.
Ding, you hit the nail on the head, hon.
I've been teaching math for 14 years, so one technique that I talk not only to my math students but my yoga students as well, and my aromatherapy clients that I educate as well, is to get it down on paper. Start making a to-do list or a task list, if you will. Get yourself a calendar. And even if you use an electronic calendar on your phone, an app or whatever, there's something about putting a physical writing instrument onto a paper and writing it out. That list that was infinite, 80 million things to do, makes me breathe like this, makes me sweat and get paralyzed, all of a sudden becomes finite. It's a finite list that even if I can't accomplish everything all at once, I know it's not unending. There's an end to it. And just seeing it on paper can immediately start bringing those stress levels down. And of course, there's no better satisfaction than taking that pen and starting to cross off on that list of things to do, things that you've accomplished. Gives you that energy and the little boost of confidence to say, okay, I've knocked this much off the list. I've only got this much more. I can keep on. I can keep on. So being organized, not only in your time, but in your workspace and in your living space.
And actually, we'll talk about that when we come back. We do have to take a commercial break, but we'll be right back with GHC Coffee Break.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back to GHC Coffee Break. This has been an exciting topic for me, and a timely topic for me, fortunately, because things, like you said, it's this, you feel like you have this mountain, and I'm out of shape. So that mountain, the harder I climb, the worse it gets. And you're very, very correct about the breathing, to me, from personal experience. But organization, not only, like you said, time, but space. I've always said I have a disorganized organizational, I mean, you've been in my office, Lynn, but it's comfy. It makes people feel at home. And I'm going to put a yes but on it. So I think it's a matter of also having it. Right now, I'm almost in a claustrophobic stage of my life. I feel like I need openness, and I've got this. So, you know, anything that you can address that. And then there's some other things we really got to get to about also managing stress, getting outside, and different things. So if you want to just address just a little bit about this organization part physically, and then we'll talk about some other things.
Now, organization is going to mean different things to different people. So whereas organization might be stacking the papers on your desk in an organized fashion. For some people, it might mean filing them away and clearing off that space. I have to have clear space. When I look down at my work desk, or I'm in my home and I look in that corner and I've seen that I've thrown all the Amazon boxes that have come into the corner of them and really haven't done anything else with them. I feel like it's a reflection of what's going on in my mind at that point. When I look around my house, if I've collected clutter,
I'm a very clutter.
I don't feel comfortable in my space. I don't feel like I can breathe freely when that happens. And so for me, going in and putting my hands on everything that has accumulated, whether it is just Amazon boxes or actual things, and making a decision of, do I need this in my life or not?
Yes.
And there's an amazing sense of freedom when the Great Purge happens.
It's just hard to do.
It is. And I
always go, I'm going to use that. I could use that.
Yeah, one day I may need that.
I may wear that tomorrow, but
my general rule, I've moved houses 30 times in my life. So I've gotten really good at getting rid of stuff, because you don't want to haul it with you when you're moving 10 hours away somewhere. But my general rule is, if I haven't used it in the past year, is it something I really need to keep around? And I'm not talking about, sentimental things like China or anything like that gets packed and put away and then brought out every once in a while. But things that are in my immediate environment, the closet, the clothes closet is a big one. But if it hasn't been used in a year, I probably don't need it. And so I do usually 3 or 4 times a year big purges of things that just have maybe at one point in my life were very important, but haven't been for the past year, so they go away. And I have not found too many items that I've had to go back and rebuy. Not too many in my entire life that I've really needed that much to go back and repurchase. So I was dealing with a client with this same issue the other day, and she almost felt like a prisoner in her own home because of all of the stuff
Yeah.
that was there to remind her of past relationships, which is another stressor in our lives, can be.
Can be, yeah.
And just not so great memories, but there was that tie of wanting to hang on to the stuff. And so I told her, I said, okay, we're going to take it day by day and we're going to say 5 things. Who can't touch 5 things in one day and decide if it needs to go or if you need to find a place for it in your home, if it's that important? Does it need to stay? And I do the same thing with my yoga students about yoga poses, because I get a lot of, I just don't have time. Okay, 5 poses.
Okay.
You should be able to find time. So if you can't find time for 5 things, whatever it is, you probably need to declutter your life.
Yeah.
And simplify your life a little bit. Because if your life is that compact, you're stressing yourself out with just all of your commitments that you've made.
Right.
So, I mean, and I could go on and on, obviously, but let's move to other topics with de-stressors, because it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's tough,
Right.
like organizing or getting your time schedule onto paper or anything like that. Well, breath is easy.
I was fixing to
Breath
say,
is always
you
there.
know, that's one of the things.
There's no excuse.
We do have
that.
to breathe.
We do. But one thing that I would like to bring up is nature and the natural world.
Thank you.
Very grounding to just go outside. And it doesn't have to be a specific place. We all have different areas outside that we enjoy being. Sometimes very often, I take my shoes off and go out into my yard. I love to have that contact with the earth. And you know, there are a lot of people that have different ideas and beliefs about actually contacting yourself with the earth and grounding that way. But when you're out in nature and surrounded by the natural elements, there's a natural stress relief that begins occurring.
So
you're
peaceful.
getting it's peaceful. Perhaps the birds are singing, there's a breeze coming through.
See, I love it at the lake over at the Highlands, you know, down by the
Paris Lake,
Right.
behind Rome GHC
I mean, it's
campus.
right there.
That
Come
is one of my favorite places to go and just be for a moment. And you don't have to set stressing expectations on yourself about it either. Just say to yourself, I'm just going to go outside. If it's 30 seconds, you've done yourself some good. If it's 10 minutes, you've done yourself even more good, you know? And water is a very nice thing to be near for de-stressing of any type.
I agree.
And you know, you've got the elements, the different energies of the elements that are brought out when you're in nature. So whether if you're in the sunshine, of course you're getting your vitamin D that way, which helps to relieve depression. And I found that with my students, my clients, students of all types, and my clients, that if they come to me for stress, depression and anxiety usually follow hand in hand with that.
True.
You know, most of these remedies or management techniques that we're talking about with stress also spill over into that depression and anxiety realm, because they do go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
But, you know, just simply sitting outside with no agenda and just to be for a moment and not have any expectations of it.
I like that.
It can relieve the stress of daily life that we all experience. So.
You can kind of clear your mind.
Absolutely.
When you're out in nature like that.
Yes.
You don't even have to be out there that long.
No, you
know,
don't.
Just to kind of clear your mind of all the daily things and things that want to stress you or that you have to do. It just kind of gives you a whole new perspective afterwards.
It clears the mind.
Yeah.
It clears the mind. Kind of gives you a clean slate.
Yeah. Sure. And when you said water, I thought you were fixing to come and it was going to really attack my my problem, and that's drinking water also. I am so bad about not getting enough fluids, water in my system, and I know it's good for many different things. I think it's for our body cleansing, which if we're stopped up and congested or whatever it is, water can help clean and take care of us. But that, I mean, it's one of the elements, but we tend to, or at least I tend to, not drink enough water. I drink coffee, guilty.
We can say it has it's made with water.
Right. Sodas, But I think drinking water also is important, and that's definitely one of my downfalls.
Yeah.
But it's getting back to nature, like you said, I think, that really does make a difference.
It does, and along the lines of drinking the water, I would say anything that you put into your body can either alleviate or help reduce your stress levels, or they can help increase the stress levels.
I believe that.
So from food to drink to medication, things like that, anything that you're putting into your body is either doing good for you or it's doing harm to you, which comes around to the self-medicating aspect of stress. A lot of people self-medicate with alcohol. Overeating is a very common one. Because when we eat, we're releasing certain chemicals in our brain that give us that satisfaction. It's a temporary satisfaction.
Then you get mad because
however, it's satisfaction nonetheless. But you feel you crash harder once you come off of that high. So alcohol, smoking, cigarettes, any sort of drugs, that would all be ways that people attempt to deal with stress when that really does nothing but cover it up and hide the root cause. So I think in saying the root cause, I want to come back to the fact that you really have to take that time to identify what's stressing you out here.
Yeah.
And some suggest even keeping a stress log. This is what stressed me out today.
I like
this is when it happened, this is how it happened, and this is how I reacted to it. Once again, getting something in writing and being able to look at it from an outside perspective of yourself puts a different perspective on it and can help you begin to learn what steps are right for you to take to begin to reduce that.
Oh, I wish we could go on and on. I'm sorry, we've got to take a break from GHC Coffee Break. We'll be right back.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
With opportunities outside of the classroom,
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits to a bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college offers courses that fit my schedule.
It's where excellence begins.
We are.
We are.
We are.
We are GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Lynn, thank you for joining me as a co-host. I've really enjoyed it. I don't get to
too.
do that very often. Libby,
Yes.
thank you for being here and giving us some really good hints about taking care of ourselves and way to manage stress. And until next time on GHC Coffee Break, get your coffee now.